Hello, everybody. On behalf of the French Institute in Sweden, a warm welcome to this online conference dedicated to culture and migration. This conference is a joint project between the French Institute in Sweden, the Goethe Institut Schweden, and the Mångkulturellt centrum in Botkyrka. This project is also part of the Night of Ideas 2021, whose challenging theme will focus this year on growing closer in the 21st century. Throughout the three panels of this conference, you will have the opportunity to get solid food for thought.
Okay, so I'm Miriam Andersson Blecher. I'm the director at Botkyrka Konsthall. I have been working in the art space since 2007 with the focus to create a relevant contemporary art space in dialogue with the local community and with the neighborhood and with the municipality at large, as well as the larger art scene, both national and international. So we have a wide target group. We're a municipal run art space in the northern part of the municipality of Botkyrka. We're about 30 minutes from the city center of Stockholm, and we're neighbors with the Multicultural Center. Botkyrka is a municipality consisting of more than 90,000 inhabitants, where around 60% have a background from another country. And there's over 100 different languages spoken. Our program spans from exhibition making, pedagogical workshops and programming, public art commissions, and also to international artist in residence program. And the topic for today, which I was super excited to be part of for our first panel, is culture exchange as a universal human right. And of course, it's a topic that also collides a lot with the programming in Botkyrka Konsthall, but also the three panelists that are part of this also have a lot of experience in the field. And I would like to just make a little intro that we have for the panel today. Cultural exchange as a universal human right for migrants and refugees. And we're going to talk about how we collectively can create dialogue and actual action to do things together. How can that actually make a difference, both for co-creators and also for institutions and the society at large? And everyone on this panel has the experience of good practice and challenges in the field and have examples of working with specific projects. And those are the ones we're going to try to lift so it's also valuable for you who are listening, the audience.
My name is Dirk Corell. I'm producer at Come in Action in Montpellier. Come in Action is a creative agency, a talent incubator, and also a support structure. Our organization is independent, was founded in 2009. We are working in the field of performing arts, mainly dance, with strong connections to urban and contemporary aesthetics, and also hybrid artistic formats. We develop connections in France, in Europe, and also internationally with associate companies, connecting with presenters, developing projects, cooperation programs, and also education activities. I believe that we are not living in a migration crisis, but we are experiencing a welcome crisis within the Western world, and specifically the European Union, in the context of an unbalanced global economic and ecological system. So with our project, we are taking the stake at its roots, the human encounter. This is one of the main capacities and a good practice we would like to share. It's very simple, but can be complex as well. We want to facilitate the connection between locals and arriving neighbors from other countries and continents. Hence our project called Je suis was born. Je suis in French means I follow, I am a follower, but also I am. Je suis French, je suis français, je suis, I am. So it's this double meaning, and this is meaningful for the project itself. So what is the project structure? The idea is to invite locals and migrants to convivial gatherings for a first informal encounter. We then offer a common participation at different experiences in the field of culture in order to share an experience, to get to know each other, and also to build mutual curiosity and trust. The events we invite to are developed in partnership with theaters, festivals, museums, and artists, including performances, workshops, movies, exhibitions. So it is a double yet a triple encounter. It's an encounter between humans, it's an interhuman connection, but it is also a confrontation of persons from different cultural backgrounds with arts.
Thank you, Dirk. Salah, would you like to continue presenting?
Yes. First of all, I would like to say thank you for having us here and bring us together from different places to discuss such important topic. My name is Salah Zahtar. I'm from Libya. I have been living here in Germany since 6 years. I'm an artist. I have been also working as a TV journalist since 2011 and a political activist. When I moved here to Germany, I was a journalist. So my first 4 years in Germany, I was an artist, political activist. I was a specialist in topics like refugees' rights, culture, xenophobia, racism, discrimination. And yes, this was my topic when I came here. For me, sometimes it's not easy to talk about what I'm doing actually exactly, because honestly, I was engaged with different I think with almost every culture institute, art space in the city, every media institution, with a lot of different groups, schools and universities, and political movement and activists. So what I want to say, me as a journalist or as an artist, I see myself now more an artist more than a journalist, because I choose to be an artist because I found art really very strong, and art has really strong power to express my thoughts, my emotions, my feelings, my political opinions, and what I think about what is going on here. And my first work here, I started really to give a lot of talks, workshops, lectures about different kinds of topics, but most of them related to the topic of human rights, refugees and migrants, and racism and discrimination. And then when I decided to start to change my career from journalist to artist, I keep myself doing the same, but I do it in an artistic way, and to aim or also to reach more people, because sometimes I think what is going on in the world now, there is a lot going on, and there is a lot of problems, and sometimes people are really tired of going to political events or going to demonstrations or watching news. So I try to find different ways to express or highlight the most important topics I want to really fight or I want to make a change for. And yes, I think for me, I believe, and I think the last 2 years for me, it was really such good experience to be an artist more than a journalist, because sometimes I didn't need to talk, because the journalists, they talk a lot. But now, since 2 years, maybe I didn't need to talk a lot. All what I do, I move, I dance, I perform. I did many performances, about racism, discrimination. I took part in so many art events or performances in different kinds of theaters and art spaces here in Hamburg. And it is really wonderful, because when you are doing art, especially what I want to say, I'm not from Germany, and I'm using my art to talk about some important topics that sometimes the society didn't want to talk about it, about how we live together, how we can understand each other, about equality, justice, equal treatment of people everyone living in the society, if they are refugees, migrants, old people, homeless people, everyone, So when I start to do my art, I reached more people, and I can see that it's really it changed a lot in my life and many people's lives. And yes, so yes, I am really more open to questions, because now I want to be a journalist, because as a journalist, it's easy to answer, more sometimes to get for some input about something. Yes, but so I think here in Hamburg, there is a lot of positive experiences or a lot of positive projects where people come together from different places. What I really love about art, in art, you didn't need language. You didn't need anything. Art to bring people together. The culture bring people together. And all what you have to do just to enjoy. Be open, allow yourself to understand the others, and the others will understand you, you know. But also when we are talking about art, unfortunately, not everyone have the privilege to go to art spaces. Because some people, for example, talk about refugees or migrants, or also about young students, or people who cannot afford to pay money, or they don't have time to go to see art because of their jobs or something like that. I think people who often go to art spaces, they are more privileged. And what I want to really, I fight for that. We want art to be for everyone, and we want everyone to participate and take part in the art and go to art spaces, because we cannot live without art. Now, since like Corona time, our lives are really hard and miserable because there is no art, and we all need art, because art gives us hope, and art is the love of life, and it's the sense of life.
Hello, everybody. My name is Baha, Swidan. I am representing Cirkus. I'm going to talk a little bit about some projects I was involved in, and a little bit about my background. And yeah, so I came to Sweden 2006, and before that I was born and raised in Palestine, where my parents was forced to move to a city called Nablus from what is called now Israel. So I was born and raised in that city in Nablus, but still I was stamped as a refugee because my parents moved from the refugee camp quite early. So in the city I was a refugee, but also for the refugees in the refugee camps, I was a boy from the city, and I was hanging all the time in between these two, and I really, this belonging, this being outsider, it's all the time, and that was annoying a lot, and that was making me angry and giving me bad feelings about it, and then deciding to do something about it because it can't continue like this. And then I decided to be a clown because then I could be whoever I want. And then I started to work with a social circus, created a group with the kids, both from refugee camp and from the city, that they come together, they train together, and they just see each other in a different way. All these stereotypes about what is a refugee and what is from the city, because this is quite a big problem in the society where I come from. And then I moved to Sweden. I work with Clowns Without Borders, work a lot with immigrants and refugees, both in Sweden and outside Sweden. And in 2012, start working with Cirkus, was involved in so many projects. Now I work there as a pedagogue and artist, and work also as a hospital clown, but that not with Cirkus. But with Cirkus, we focus in the last years, we have been focusing so much on the issue of immigration, and Cirkus have created big production movements. We have limits, also borders. All this production is only about this topic. And on the other hand, we have been doing lots of workshops, meeting, and some command one, we call them in Swedish. It's kids who immigrate without their parents, who come to Sweden, and we work quite a lot with them. Both go to their homes here in Sweden and work doing shows and workshops with them, and also inviting them to our place, our circus, to train there and to be with us. So that's a short about me. So thank you.
Thank you. It feels like a starting point for our panel is actually what possibilities art create for the topic that we're in now, and what it enables. And I'm curious there, Salah, to follow up on what you talked about, the identity as a journalist and then the identity as an artist, and how actually identifying as an artist and evolving in the art context, how that has enabled different connections and interactions for you, and how it has felt satisfying in a sense. But so first I would like you to maybe pick a typical example or something of where you have felt that has happened, where you have maybe been in collaboration with an institution, or you know, where you felt that I've been engaged in something that maybe has also enabled a bit of a change or a progress. And at the same time, you mentioned that, and that we've been talking about that. We had a pre-meeting last week, this panel, that you also said that we're artists, we work with art, we feel that this field and this context is a helpful space when it comes to working with migrants, refugees, persons with another background. And at the same time, it's a very excluding field. We talked about that as well, that it's also a field that's very difficult to engage into. There's not a lot of open doors, and it's very built on networks and connections. And when it comes to the contemporary art field, it has its rules in a sense, both in Germany and in Sweden and in France. So I would like to start out with you, Salah, but I would like all of you to think about that, how you were gathered to talk about what the art and the culture can enable, but at the same time, it also has its a lot of difficulties as well. So I'm going to ask you to both lift an example, because we're going to talk about best practice in a sense, but I also would like you to talk about that aspect, the difficulties in it.
Yes, I mean, actually, to be honest with you, why I really changed my career from journalist to an artist, because if there is a lot of problems, like we as not Germans, for us, if we are journalists, it's not easy for us to work in the German media, because different kind of issues. First thing, I mean, like you have to speak perfect German. Second thing, I mean, like you also, like, even if you speak perfect German is not enough. You have to find, as you mentioned it, you have to know some people who can let you in. I mean, although for me, I think like 2015 and 16, I was quite famous. Like I was working a lot with a lot of media here. I had a lot of interviews talking about a lot of different kind of topics, but it was not easy for me to work as a journalist here. And also, I think because of discrimination, you know, there is also like, because the way the institution is, they don't allow, it is really more hard for us to do the jobs as not Germans or as a foreigners in any country in Europe to do just the jobs that we love, you know. So when I tried really to find work, it was not easy for me. And the first thing I really thought about it, I'm good in cooking. I thought maybe I can open my own restaurant, or what, I'm good in dancing. And I have been the last 5 years, actually, I was like, also beside my work, I told you I did a lot of different stuff, but I organized a lot of art events. I was the organizers, I bring in musicians, artists, and actually when I start to work with the artists, I don't have a lot of ideas about their struggle. And then since I start to work with a lot of artists, organizing for them some events, try to get money from here and here to support them and give them money and appreciate them and value their work. Because, you know, as an artist, it's really, really hard, especially if you are a freelancer here. I mean, it's really a challenge. I really took brave decision to jump in the art. The art is not open at all for anyone. I mean, it's open, or you have to be really brave or strong to find your corner, you know? It's not open for everyone.
One stake and complexity was to convince partners for grants, for example, for public grants, in order to make this project possible. Because it's somewhere in between. It has a social aim. It's about interconnecting humans, people, persons, but it's also cultural and it's also artistic. You see, so there are different levels, and sometimes you might find it difficult when you talk to a cultural institution or a stakeholder to counterbalance this artistic extra value with the social part, you know. But I mean, we had a first project grant. It's still very modest. It's 10 times less than what we needed actually, but we received a first support, which makes now the first step possible. And I believe that through a first realization, a first project, even much smaller and a smaller scale, it will show its outcome actually.
Yeah.
But is your experience that there is something in the art of circus that in itself enables a certain connection or a contact or opens something that you think is unique? Or is it a method that exists in, or is it universal in other art forms as well? Or
I think it's both, but what I see in circus, there's two things. It's usually we know about circus that is risk, and you do something is not usually people do, you know, something different. So you accept that being different, you use this being different in a positive way, somehow. Taking risk, as I said, like things you can do, you take also with you to your life. And there is so many things in circus. So if you don't like being up on the air and hanging, you can be on the floor, you can juggle. There is so much different ways in circus that you will always find one of these ways that can fit you. And circus, for me, circus is we know the traditional circus, the family circus, and that's something really strong, family. Now we have the same. We have it's a contemporary circus. It's a new circus, modern circus, but still this family exists. But it doesn't exist like it's not the blood relation. It's kind of this art form relation, and it's, you know, if you throw one ball and catch it in the other hand, you are a juggler, and if you throw 12 balls in the air and catch them, you still are a juggler. So it's wide, like you can be in this family for a small thing, I can say. Like you don't need to be a lot to be in this family, and doesn't matter what color you have, what language you speak. We have a language that all the world, I think, can say. And right now it's circus, it's also theater and dance and music. It's all is baked in this beautiful thing that we are presenting out. So you like people who are, I'm not good verbally to express myself, but I'm good at stage and using my body and using my art and to express myself and to say things and to raise awareness about some issues. So of course, I don't believe circus is the only, but this is what I can do, and this is the way I can present it.
What I believe is that an artistic practice, when you practice yourself, let it be circus or you are trying, you know, to put a rhyme, to rap or whatever, you know, when you are in a practice, you are beyond a convention. And you are beyond your phenotype, your appearance, beyond the stereotype. You are the migrant. I mean, there is nothing worse than to be reduced to something, to this role to play in a society, that you are a problem, that you are a phenomenon, you are someone, you know? And an artistic practice is a way to transcend all this and also to become someone else, to play a role, to try out something else, and especially for teenagers. Sorry. When you are 16, 17, you are looking to be something, but you don't know yet what. You become an adult, and those kids even quicker than anybody would desire, would imagine. I mean, what they experience lives of 3 adults, but yet you have a role to play in the next years, you know, and a whole package of expectations come with that. And I think this artistic practice helps you to try something out for a little moment, to escape that, and, you know, to fly and to put a red nose on and to be a clown, as you're saying, you know, and to brave things, to be also a rule breaker at some point, you know, where it is allowed. And it is good to try those things out. This is what I wanted to say.
But the other question that I really don't want us to, I want us to have enough time for it, is what kind of tools are missing then? What do we see that is missing in your own experience to help boost culture as a human right? Do you get that, in a sense, that the topic that we're talking about, and what is it that, I mean, you have all these examples, but, and what is it actually that's missing? What do, maybe is it the institutions that need to think in a certain way, or is it the politicians, or is it the funding, or is it, I mean, of course we have society at large, and that's, we can't change society in a day, but so if you want to, for the first thing, if you have something that you feel, when it comes to the first question that was about, that I think we touched upon, and I think in all our projects, and also on the topic of Botkyrka Konsthall, I can add that for us working with these topics, it's part of our artistic program. It's we try not to think about it as only specific projects that we do like a firework once in a while. It's part of our whole artistic programming year out and year in, and that sometimes you really need to focus on a certain target group, but to have an artistic program and an exhibition program that mirrors these topics and that mirrors the society we're placed in, that's something that we constantly keep in the forefront when we talk about what we should exhibit and who we should work with. And I think as a director and as an artist, or as a person being in anything that could resemble, you know, that you're doing a project or you're an institution, you have that responsibility today to really, that's part of quality. That's part of the artistic quality of what your role is as being a professional in this field. Because one of the questions is a little bit about also what how Botkyrka Konsthall works. So if you want to comment on the first question, otherwise it's the tools that are missing that I'm concerned about. Who wants to?
If I may, I think that both are related actually. How can we learn, or how can we take profit out of it, both of us? I mean, it's by listening, right? It's all about listening, be open-minded enough. Don't judge the other one because the person has another background or maybe non-such backgrounds. I think every echo is a valuable echo, and we have to listen to it. And this is related to the second question, then to the tools. I think it's mainly it's funding and also the access to the tools, as Salah was also explaining. I think this is what you meant also, Salah. It's about the possibility to have an access, because if you want to be, let's talk about performing arts. This is my field. In order to get a funding to have an access to the stage, to build a work, a stage work, it means basically such a complex basic organization and as a structure actually, and knowledge and know-how. It can be quite difficult actually to put your own work on stage, to be listened to, because I said you have to listen to the other ones, but then we need the listeners as well. So that is, I think, where the cultural environment as the institution can come in order to give to this a platform to this expression, to those opinions, you know, and this must be heard. So maybe what we need is a middle organization, you know, organizations like agencies, like my agency, for example, is doing for emergent dance artists, for example, who don't yet have their own means of expression. Could be organizations, NGOs, ready to enter the performing arts market by giving a platform to those artists. You know what I mean? This is a possibility. So they could be a tool in order to highlight what the artists or the migrant artists want to say. So I think it's listening and also giving the possibility to be listened to. Then we talk about the tools.
This is,
I think what we should also think about the tools. I mean, when we are talking, especially several times we talked about the unaccompanied minors, meaning, you know, people from 16 to 18, 19, you know, who are coming to Europe. So what is their form of communication? You know, I mean, most have cell phones, so it can be a basic app actually. And we were thinking about that. Maybe there is a very nice app called Ref8, which is a multilingual platform for basic needs. Where can I take a shower? Where can I find a shelter? This is something, it's a basic tool. It's an app for the smartphone. And we were thinking in the frame of our project, Je suis, to develop also a tool, a basic tool, you can, an app you could download to have an easy access for information. Where's a workshop? Where can I see some work? Where can I go to a museum? If this is something you're already aiming for, you know? And there is also the practice. I mean, the younger generation, I mean, they use TikTok, they use YouTube, they use Snapchat also for artistic expression. It's also about being open for that, you know, not thinking that art only can be done in an institution. You know, art practice now is so easily accessible. You can do a movie with your smartphone, you know, and this is something, the technical tools are there. The access is there, as long as you have an internet access. I mean, this is now the new thing, you know, you have a good Wi-Fi or internet access. But we have to take this in consideration, and also to take those expressions serious, because the next generation, they work in another way. And if we see it, art becomes more and more what we still call pluridisciplinary, you know, which younger people are like, what are you talking about discipline? I'm expressing myself. I mean, shall I choose between movement and my voice and the pencil? I mean, why shall I choose? I can do all this. I'm plural, you know? So it's about those tools as well.
I want to go back to what we were talking about. And I think we artists have a big role in this. We should not forget that we have to be critical for the society. We have to raise these problems up and not just to put our heads down. We work a lot now towards what can bring us money, but I think the biggest message that we have as an artist is to raise problems that society have and to try to fix it. So I think we should be more and more involved in our performances, in our what we write, what we draw, what we sing. And I think there's a lot of people who look up for us, and I think we will open eyes. I can jag har ett bra citat från Tilde Björfors. Hon är our director. She's doing our big shows. Just have to find it. I will read it fast. When we are captivated, we can also become open and can take in. And it's also where the opportunity exists to reach into sleeping hearts. So we use this.
And the last point for me, what is a good sharing of practice? It's the hip hop culture. I mean, when it comes to hip hop, I'm working with since ages. Hip hop is a practice. It's a culture with a lot of arts practices, and hip hop is interconnected. So it's an organic way of evolving together in an artistic expression where everybody has his or her own place, whatever you look, however you look like, where you come from. It's about a skill and about an idea and about an expression. I think this is a very beautiful example as well, how we can share a practice. But I'm really grateful that those topics, migration and culture and the arts, that this is part of the Night of Ideas. I mean, it's a great opportunity, I think, also to bring this in as an idea and to see migration as a positive input into societies as an idea. That's a really nice thing, I think.
So really, thank you, and hope to see you soon.
So much for everyone who was with us, and thank you for organizing. It was nice to meet all of you.
Yes.
Yeah,
Thank
a lot.
you.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye. Salut. Tschüss.